All right, everybody. Figure try to do a high res up close. This is the piston that failed on the 2022 Speed Twin. So we really were not able to determine the cause of the damage. We know what we know what the damage was. We don't know what order it happened in. So you've got the piston land, which broke off there. Trying to see if there was any inclusions in there or anything like that. Trying to get this to focus as well as I can. We don't know if that broke off and took the valve out, or if the valve floated and it allowed the collar or something to drop off so that the valve was able to drop down into the cylinder and hit. I don't see anything that looks like an impact mark, because it's not going to hit the piston. It's going to hit in that area. So you'd think that like you'd see a smack or something like an impact distortion, the metal to be, whatever. And then this piece broke off as a result. So I am tentatively leaning towards it was a failure of the ringland itself, that it came off, was in the top of the piston, in the cylinder. Piston comes up, smacks it into the valve. That's what bent the valve. This piece also hit the spark plug and smashed that. And then the piece might have broken into smaller pieces and gone out. My gut says that this broke first, and it wasn't an issue of the valve floating and impacting. I just don't see any, it would have to smack that fairly hard to break that. And I just don't see any real evidence of that. So I think that broke off and took out the valve. And then when it did so, there's a couple little scratches here along that edge where I think that piece was bouncing around a little bit in there before it broke into pieces and went out the exhaust valve and out the exhaust. Then when you turn it over, you see on the opposite side of the piston, you can see that crack, which is almost all the way up to there. You see it all the way across the bottom in there, right there, and partially up that side, and then over here you can see that as well. So my guess is that broke. Maybe just a defect. I don't know. Anything's possible. Anything can fail. And so that broke off, took out the valve. The ring gap, everything was fine. But that piece came off, smashed it, and I think the impact from this canted it this way so that this side hit the cylinder wall, and that's what cracked that. You got a crack right there. You got a big crack there. It actually started to pull away a little bit. And if you look at it, I can move it just the tiniest bit. So that was one step away. If I'd ridden that bike any further home, this likely would have just come completely off. Some of this would be down at the bottom of the motor, would have tore stuff up. I got really, really lucky on this. I mean, either way, it would have been rebuilt, or they might have been just giving me a new motor at that point. But that would have been infinitely worse. So hold on a second. Come here, puppy. What you doing, little pup? Ugh. Donna decided to come home with a new puppy. Hey, look, puppy, there's a piston. Just don't lick it. This is Peaches. I'm told it's what are you? A Chihuahua mix? Chihuahua and small poodle. I don't know. She's a cute little pup, though. Very needy. Very clingy. So anyway, that was the damage. And that was our guesstimate. I mean, it's hard to say after the fact. Ooh, you know what? There's another crack. Right? Try to get the lighting on it. I can see it. There's another hairline crack that goes through those lands right there. You might be able to see that. So there's another crack going up towards there. So this has cracks all over it. So there's that one, that crack on the inside. Looking anywhere else, do I see anything? No other real damage, but that was enough. So that's what happened. So Brian Stokes and Triumph took care of me. I hear Max cooing in the background because there's a siren. And basically, that's what grenaded the motor. So It's possible the valve failed first. It's just hot. I would think there'd be some sign of impact there. It would have hit that, and that piece would have then snapped off. There'd be a ripple, a gouge, something. And I just, even getting in there, I just don't see it. So, but I got a nice paperweight and a story. So we'll just keep that here on the desk. I did degrease it fully, and my hand's not all nasty from handling it. And that'll just sit here on the desk. So luckily we got it all put back together, and she's running good as ever. Probably better now. I mean, Brian's gone over it and checked the valves, and everything's good to go for the next 10,000 miles. So whether I'll put it on track, I think I will. Just to do what, there's really no track video on like a big racetrack like Road Atlanta. I've seen a couple 8th mile drag races, but I've not seen any really good track footage on a nice track on a speed twin. So I'm thinking I'm going to do that and get it out there just for 1 or 2 sessions. And then it's going to hang up its more, sporty pretenses. I'm going to ride it around like a sport bike like I do, but I'll probably chill out a little bit on that. When I want to go stupid fast, I'll take the MT10 or the Kawasaki, at least until I decide which one I'm going to sell. It won't be the MT10, but the Kawasaki, I think, is the one that's going to go. But yeah, so yeah, now that I'm looking at it, I do see a little bit of banging up there, but I think that was just that piece on its way out, busting up into pieces. And maybe it was one of the hits over here that cracked that. But yeah, 1, 2, 3. I mean, it's all cracked all the way around. That would have been a big piece falling into the bottom of the motor with the crank, and that would have been a freaking mess. That would have required to replace pretty much the whole motor at that point. At that point, he probably would have just requested a new motor. So anyway, there's the update on that. We'll see you cats later.